Yo, what's up? I'm the Chess Guy and welcome to the video. Today we play against a viewer on Lichess who is rated around 1850 and the time control is 5 minutes plus 5 seconds per move. We end up playing the Accelerated Dragon, which is an opening that I've played a lot in my younger years, so I know a thing or two about this. And at the end of the video, I'll show you some tips and tricks that I talk about during this game to maybe teach you a bit about some tricky lines in this Accelerated Dragon. And I'll also show you why I currently won't be playing this Accelerated Dragon against equally or stronger opponents than myself. So stay tuned for that. I'll also talk a little bit about my favorite opening and I'll give some advice about when to capture and when not to capture. If you want to beat stronger players, you need to give them an opportunity to make a mistake so you can capitalize on that. In this game, we very quickly end up going to a worse endgame for my opponent, and in such simple positions, the difference in playing strength becomes more clear than in complicated positions. So at some point, actually, I thought the game was going to get drawn, but then there's a nice way to actually win the king and pawn endgame, where the video will take a short break, so you're able to maybe solve this puzzle as well, like I was thankfully able to do, because yeah, at some point I'm sweating here thinking it's going to get drawn. So as always, I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Archer J5. Let's play Sicilian, right? Let's go. No problem, Chess Ninja. Hope you enjoyed. It was a good game. This is the Accelerated Dragon. There's some tricks in this line which... okay, I'm not gonna... Below 2000, a lot of these tricks work. After that, I felt like they never really worked anymore. Okay, so bishop e2 sidestep a lot of these tricks, but after d5, black is equalized. Yeah, it's a tricky opening, and it's very good for a lot of people, but at some point you'll also get some devastating losses, and you'll realize that it's not all fun to play the Accelerated Dragon. So theory says knight d5, queen d5, bishop f3, queen a4, and knight c6, pawn c6, and then I think c3, but I am not completely sure. That just drops a piece, so I'll give you a take back, because that's unfortunate. You don't want to lose your knights. So if you do the same move again, I will take your knight. Okay. This I'm also not really a fan of, because you are now going to get an isolated d-pawn in the endgame, which is kind of weak. So we'll do our best to block it and eventually win it. And then we win the rook endgame with an extra pawn. Maybe. But that's our best chance here, to win the pawn and win the endgame. What's my favorite opening for black? Well, I mean, I do like the Accelerated Dragon if I know that they don't play the Maroczy bind. E5 and the pawn is lost. I also like the modern, of course, because that's been my opening for a long time. And I think that the King's Indian and the Queen's Indian are very good as well. If this is that winning, because 1, 2, 3 moves the king is there. 1, 2, 3 moves, my king is here, and the king grabs the pawn, so I'm too slow. 1, 2, 3, I can actually be here. Oh wait. So takes. King here. Here. Huh. I don't need to actually take the pawn right away. There's no rush. But let's take with the rooks. Because if we reach a king and pawn endgame, yeah, but this he should not have done, I believe, because he doesn't grab this pawn, so this now means an easy win for me. F4, I go here and here, or here. No. Here and here. So Archer, I mean, you should only trade if you know it's good for you. If you're trading with just the idea of I am trading, then it's time to step up your game, because only trade if there's a direct benefit to you. For me, it's very obvious, because this endgame is much more easy to win without rooks than with rooks. Yeah, the thing is, you don't... I mean... yeah, it's just lost. The king moves, and then I go up. And if it's my move here, then I can just go here. Or now I also can go here. Or wait, if I do this wrong, I might get zugzwanged. Oh, yikes. Did I misplay this now? Uh-oh. So if I go g5, maybe you take and play h4 and you get the outside passed pawn. Oh man, I might have just thrown the game. This might be a draw. I think it's a draw, guys. We have quite some people in queue, so my only chance to not draw is this. This takes h4. So it's right around this moment where I realize that I'm actually able to win this game after the sequence of moves that I'm just drawing, and that will also happen. So black will play g5, white will take h-pawn, recaptures on g5, white plays h4, and it's in that position that there's actually a very cool way to win here with black. So good luck. Takes h4. Do I have f4? Brilliant. Takes here. I have, if takes h4, I have f4. Oh my god, if that's the win, that's pretty darn nice. But I'm not yet sure. I mean, if you don't take and you push, I can just take, and then go h4, and we reach the situation where we have this with white to move and the king goes backwards, so that's win. So the only logical move for white here is to take the pawn and then recapture h4, f4. If you take here, I take h4. That's not good. And if you take here, I take here, and if you push, I push, and I'm first. And if takes, sorry, this takes, the king goes here, I check. You go here, I push. I think it's winning f4. But it's okay, so it was very risky. My gut told me this whole pawn endgame should be winning, but I never imagined it would be this tight or close. Okay, take. Yo, but that just doesn't work for you, for sure. Not that there was anything else. Okay, let's have a quick look, because it's the only winning plan I have, I think. I think the only winning move after h4 is f4. And that is absolutely correct. So we might see this one in a puzzle at some point in the future. f4 wins. True. So that means that my gut was right, and that you should not trade rooks here. The computer gives this as the best move, but this is actually a forced loss. I have no doubt that this endgame is completely winning. So white did play a lot of logical moves here. And now all of a sudden the evaluation drops up to plus or minus a lot. And black, black wins. Okay, GG. So this was a position that we had in the current game, and this is the starting point for a lot of these tricky lines. My opponent played bishop e2, but what you will see happen a lot is that white goes for the Yugoslav attack, thinking this is a normal dragon, but it's not, it's the accelerated dragon. So if you castle short here, the sort of normal response for white would be to play f3. The big difference here is though that in the normal dragon the pawn is on d6 and this knight is still on b8. But now this allows for a tactic because we have more pressure on something. So queen b6 is the move, and this attacks the pawn on b2. And there's a secondary attack, which is a bit hard to see, so we'll just go through it. Bishop b3, and now we can actually just take a pawn here, because now there's 3 attackers onto the knight, and this knight can't really move, because if it does, you can take a bishop with check, and if something like this, you're just able to take this knight hitting their queen, and you're going to end up a piece up. So this is a GG's. And if they recapture the knight, then you can take this knight back in the center. So this nets you an extra pawn. The white structure is also now a bit ruined because there's an isolated pawn, and this is a clear advantage. And after white also castles, then go e5, and this is the equalizing move. So theory says that you should take, and here go bishop f3. And you might wonder why you're not losing a pawn. Well, I'll show you, because if they take this guy, then after rook b8, there's a lot of pressure on b2 and c2 and a2, and the queenside pawns of white will collapse. You're always going to win back 1 pawn and probably a second. If you don't believe me, let's click Stockfish, and Stockfish says that it's equal. Maybe black is already slightly better if they think long enough. Instead, white should play c3. And I always thought it was queen c2, but there's a couple of ways here. Rook b8 is a good way, and this is an equal position, and black should be happy to get equally out of the opening. The problem with the accelerated dragon, at least according to my belief, is the Maroczy bind, which goes c4. I'll explain a little bit. There's a lot of theory here, and I'll show you one trick, because I kind of like that trick. White just grips down on e5, grabs space in the center, and denies black yeah, any pawns on the 5th rank basically. So white will get more space, get a quicker development, and just has a nice solid position. For black, it's okay, you don't have any weaknesses, but you also don't really have a clear plan to how to go forward. So if you want to draw with white, you can just play this, but if you want to fight with black and your opponent plays this, you might be in for a rough game. So there's a little somewhat trick in this line that I'll quickly show you. Excuse me. Do need to defend your knight on d4, knight f6, knight c3, and here there's knight g5. Some opponents will be thinking that, hey, I can just take here, and then you take, and I take. But this actually gives a great position for black, because you're going to end up in a position where, yeah, at some point black will need to take, because you otherwise take knight on c3, and you take. And now you have the bishop pair, you have the dark square bishop. Black is very happy here. So what white should do instead, after black plays knight g4, he should just take, and knight takes, and queen d1. And this allows for white to maintain the dark square bishop, still have a great position. The engine kind of agrees, and yeah, this is something I'm not very comfortable playing, so I don't want to make the accelerated dragon my main weapon. So I hope you enjoyed this little lesson about the accelerated dragon. Maybe you learned something, maybe you can deploy it in your own games with either black or white. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you on the next one.